can Japan really be home? Can Japan really be home? Right? That comes into my mind like you. Hi, welcome to the Black Experience Japan's Melanated Files. The purpose of this series is to highlight the black people living in Japan. Who are they? Hey guys, what's up? So my name is Ranzo and this is my wife,
Janique.
And my daughter, Tiffany. Say hi.
Hi.
She's off camera, but we are the family behind the Black Experience Japan, and we wanted to share our story because we have been sharing stories and you guys have been asking us questions all the time. So I'm like, you know what? Why not do an episode where we introduce ourselves and talk to you guys? And also we want to focus on something that I think is really, really important. We did a recording before, but the footage was unusable, so we're going to do it again. And what came out of that was this question. The question is, can Japan really be home, right? Especially as a black family within a homogeneous society. So we wanted to share our story, go through the same line of questioning that our interviewees go through as well, and give you guys some answers. And this whole thing, the Black Experience Japan, right, it came about because people were asking a lot of questions about life in Japan for the black individual, and we wanted to answer that question. So that's why this channel exists, and we also wanted to provide a plethora of experiences so you guys can arrive at your own conclusions. So the very first question would be, what's your name and where you're from? And of course, my name is Ranzo, my wife is Janique, and my daughter is Tiffany, and we're originally from Jamaica, but we immigrated to Canada, and now we're in Japan. What drew us to Japan? Maybe you want to take on that one.
What drew us to Japan? Well, you drew us to Japan. I mean, I was always open to working in Asia as a teacher, but you specifically wanted to go to Japan. I could care less, really. So yeah, you drew us to Japan.
Yeah, so the reason for that, it might sound cliche, it might just sound like whatever, but it's anime. Like, that is my first point of contact with Japanese culture and society. If I'm telling the truth, that's what it is. So I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan, and you know, that piqued my interest, right? I did study Japanese for a year before I came to Japan. This was like many years ago, so I forgot most of what I learned, though the vocabulary is somewhere there, somewhere hidden in my mind, and sometimes it comes out. But that was a reason, right? So I was working at this university at the time in Canada, and it was just a chance conversation that actually ensued with me and a manager there, and she mentioned that she came to Japan for 2 years, and I'm like, I wonder, right? Like something, that moment in time, right? It was just,
I remember.
I came home and I spoke about it. That moment in time, just one simple conversation we had, and I went home, I spoke with my wife about it, and I'm like, why not look into this? And because we were a young family, my daughter was really, really young at the time, we're like, you know what, why not? Yeah. It's a new experience, a new adventure, and we're young enough to actually, go make the move and, just do it. So that's where it started, and we came here we are 3 years later. So some of you guys have been asking, what do I do? I am a freelancer here. My domain is online. And my wife?
I'm an English teacher at a junior and senior high school.
Yeah, she's a really, really good teacher, right? She is a really, really good teacher. She teaches my daughter a lot of stuff. Like, honestly, like, my daughter's like so smart, and of course, well, I know she has my brain still, but okay. She has my wife as well, who teaches my daughter a lot of stuff. Yeah, so we've been here for 3 years, and you know what? What has our experience been as a family, as a black family in Japan? We spoke about this before, and I feel like as a family, it's been fairly decent. It's been pretty good, especially with Tiffany. She's like the icebreaker, right? She's like the thing that makes people feel comfortable
to talk to us.
You're right. They see her, they're like, not intimidating, not threatening. You're like, oh, a little like cute baby. Right, so I think she definitely adds or accentuates our experience in a sense,
sure.
Right, as you said the last time, right? Like when it comes down to social interaction, she opens the door. People feel a lot more, I guess, open or friendly with us when they see our daughter. When we're by ourselves, it's not so much, but no. babies get the door open. Okay, so if you gotta rent a baby, wait, sorry.
No.
I do that. I know they got these renting weird stuff in Japan. I'm like, I don't know.
They do. They do.
But that was a joke. Okay, that just came out. Anyways, moving on. So tell me about that. Experience.
No, for sure. Like, well, just like you were saying, if I'm by myself, not that many people talk to me. But whenever I have Tiffany, it's like immediate conversation. People automatically look at us, smile. I mean, sometimes people do smile at me, but like when they see her, it's like, oh. And one of the reasons is someone that I know actually said to me that it's very rare for Japanese people to see black children, especially a little black girl. So it's like for them, it's like, they see adults.
Wait, just to say that, just to interject here, when you said that, there was a guy that we saw. Remember, I was sharing it in Shinjuku that saw my daughter. We were like at a stoplight, just there waiting for the light to turn to green, and this guy was there, like an older dude. I'm not sure, maybe like 60 or something. Like the guy was like, he saw my daughter, and it's almost like he saw an alien. Right, like someone or something that he has never seen before, because like it wasn't like he did like a quadruple take. Like man was just like, right, like dude was like that, and he was like looking like, you know, when you're trying to look, you're looking at something and you're trying to figure it out. Like you got like this, like a sort of like conundrum, and you're trying to like figure it out, and you're trying to like make sense of this. I don't know what was going through his mind. I wish I could have read his mind, but I'm like the guy was like. It wasn't like a creepy stare. It was like, my gosh, like E.T. or something. Like it was like bewilderment or something. And I was looking, and I was kind of like trying to get his attention, because I'm like it's a stare down at, well, he's staring at her, kind of looking, trying to make sense of this little black human, right? And I'm there trying to like look at him to be like, I'm like, bro, I'm trying to get his attention, but like looking at him, but dude was like fixated, like turned around, looked back again. It was quite something. So I wanted to say that.
They're not used to the children. They're used to adults. Adults usually come, but not many people come as families or come with their children. So it's like, Yeah,
that's pretty much that story in terms of that. But I think when I'm out with my daughter by myself, it's the same thing, right? People generally are more welcoming, are more open. They're always talking to my daughter. When we're out together, it's the same thing as a family, all of us, right? And but there's one thing that happens, and we spoke about it before, is where when we're out, some people, they just focus on my daughter, right? I don't know if it's just a thing, but they focus on her so much as if we don't even exist.
Right.
So it's like we're not even there. So they're like fixated on my daughter, smiling, telling her that she's cute, etc.
Yeah.
And it's like they don't even make eye contact. Maybe like one out of like 30 people actually acknowledge us as a parents.
That's
right? Right? It's like,
but yeah.
Trust me, maybe 1 in 50.
I wouldn't go that far.
Right? I'm just like, sometimes I'm just like, you're trying to like, put yourself like, hey, what's up? Hi. I'm here too, right? But they don't even care. Right? I'm just like, I'm like, okay, like embarrassing, right? But they do that. I'm not sure why, but I guess they might feel like she looks a little bit more non-threatening, or I don't even know, more fascinating or something.
Definitely.
But that happens though. It's no big deal really still, right? But it happens, and sometimes. So it's been overall, my experience has been as a family. I think it does give us a different dynamic. And as it relates to like being out, because sometimes like she's out by herself and I'm out by myself, and sometimes with her, I'm with my daughter, she's with my daughter, and as a family, so there's different dynamics. So we can think about like the interactions, right? Yeah. When we're out, and the difference. When I'm out by myself, as well, sometimes you get stares, not a lot. Sometimes you never know what people are thinking. Yeah. And one thing happened, like there's a few things that I think I'll share as we progress, in this interview. But overall, as a family, I think it's a different dynamic. I think it makes things different.
Yeah, for sure.
Even like, for instance, in the community, right? I remember someone was asking like, are you accepted within the community?
Yeah, we are. I would say so. I mean, for example, there's a lot of like older people that live around us, and they're really, really friendly, really nice. So when I leave for work, I have the neighbors who are out gardening usually say to me, iterashai, which is like, the send off, like have a nice day. And then when I'm coming back home and they're outside still, they're like, okaeri nasai. So it's really nice, because it's like, because like, I mean, if you watch like anime or Japanese like shows, that's what they say to their family members when they come home or when they leave. So it's like, it was nice to see that, the neighbors were saying that to me. So they've been really friendly. They also give me fruit and food.
Our
Sometimes
daughter,
they
like our daughter's like a magnet. I guess anywhere in the world.
But sometimes
I guess anywhere in the
was-
world, it's
yeah.
like, you know, children get you free stuff, so they come with fruits.
But I
and
don't think
stuff.
it's just the children. I think those people who actually give us stuff just give it to us as a family just because.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
I guess. I think Tiffany opens a lot of doors.
yeah. But I know other people who live by themselves and get fruits and stuff from their neighbors. It's more so a thing that happens, I think, more in the rural areas. I definitely hear a lot of people who live in like rural Japan, like their neighbors will give them free food, especially if they farm. That's pretty common.
Yeah, so I guess overall, I guess in terms of concerns, well, there's like two things I wanted to touch on, and this was, there are two things. One is the school aspect, right? Because I'm a bit concerned about that aspect when it comes down to my daughter attending school. She hasn't started attending school yet, but it's like, but she's gonna be starting like literally this year, and I'm a bit concerned. But with the interactions that we've seen out, you know, on the playground, when we go out, interaction at parties and stuff with other kids, it seems fine. I don't see anything like a cause for concern, but definitely we've heard stories. Like I'm pretty sure you guys have heard stories as well. You know, like a child being different in a society like this, with like, you know, like a high 90 plus percentile of people are, you know, different. And you're thinking about just the way kids are overall, and you're like, man, like what's gonna happen when my daughter goes here and she's not under our protection, right? Other people have to, you know, look out for her, etc. Like, is she ready for this? Like, what is it gonna be like? So that is something when it comes down to concerns that, you know, like habitually, like, you know, comes into my mind. But I try not to make decisions out of fear, right? So we're moving forward, and she's gonna go to school. So that's one thing that we'll see how that works out when she actually starts attending.
Right.
Which is like really, really, you know, soon. But what's your take with her interaction with other kids and stuff like that in Japan? And
I mean, I've witnessed some things where kids are kind of hesitant. Like every child is different. There have been kids who see her and they just stare at her, and they're kind of hesitant to play with her. Like she will come close to them and they'll like run, like, you know, take a couple steps back. But then there are other kids who, as soon as she meets them, they're holding hands, they're running together, they're playing ball. So it really depends on the child, and maybe the I guess the child's personality, maybe what the child's parents' viewpoint. I mean, I've also been told by my Japanese friend that who has children that are half Japanese, half black, that at this kindergarten, really low elementary stage, you don't really have to worry.
okay,
You know, because they're very small, they're very like young still. You usually see problems as they get older. It's like the, you know, like junior high kind of, that's where the problems really start. One thing that I've learned from other parents who have children of mixed race or just foreign growing up in Japanese schools is, she would say, just don't move. She would say physically, just do not move. If they start in from like daycare, keep them in the same community, because those kids grow up with them, and it's like by the time they reach junior high school level, they have the same friends that follow them all the way
that
up.
sounds like a good strategy,
so that
actually.
so that from they were in diapers, they were playing, and so it's like she said for her daughters, it was as if they didn't even see her daughters as not Japanese. I mean, they're white, but still, like they, you know, they were born in Japan, and so they grow up together. But she said she would always see problems with other families who would move. When they move and the kids have to start a new school, and then the mindset of those children hasn't, you know.
But you know, the reason for that too, I think, is because, for instance, it's like when you get close to someone, you get to know them, you know them as a person, right? And then you connect, because we're all humans, despite what some people harbor in their minds, we're all humans. And once you get close enough to someone, you know them, you learn about them, and as a result, you get to befriend them, and then you might even fall in love with them, wink wink, stuff like that, right? So these things happen. So yeah, I think that's a really good strategy, actually. I never actually thought about it.
She was
and
just
we
like,
went
don't
to
move.
When I went to the meeting at the school, like they paired like the kids, the incoming kids with like older
they
kids.
did?
So they did that and they went out, right? And I saw when my daughter came back, like they were like the older kids, like I saw like these two kids were like fixated on her. I was like, in my mind, I'm like, I don't know why they're thinking it, because they're looking, because she's different. We were like literally the only black father and daughter in that thing, in that meeting that we were at. So definitely it's still an experience. It's still something that we're looking forward to, because right, she's always starting to learn Japanese and speaking Japanese now, and she can recognize characters and stuff. And even when I went to the that meeting, right, the principal, I believe it was, I think it was a principal.
The principal.
She was saying like my daughter was drawing some stuff because she's really good at art already. Because I think we're both good at art as well. And she's always drawing, and like, oh, Tiffany's doing this and that. And there's a little thing in me where I'm like, what if Tiffany's like at another level, because I know she's like really, really smart already, and I'm like, if she goes there and she's like shining and she's just like this, this foreigner child that's just like shining, I'm like, oh my gosh, like how will she be received? But I guess kids they're small enough, so they won't be that sense of like envy or jealousy or whatever, and hopefully she's okay with that. But let's see what happens. Like, as I said, I'm not gonna make decisions out of fear. So we're gonna just go in faith and just and pretty much see what happens, right? Because we're here, and I wanted to get that immersion. I think people also asked about like how are we raising up our daughter in this society if we're trying to like get her to be almost bicultural, to learn about the Japanese society culture and also our culture as well, as first Jamaicans and then Canadians as well. I think both, definitely, because this is a fascinating culture, of course, and she's going to learn about it regardless. I mean,
she's already absorbed a lot of things just from being here. One of the times I took her to my work at the school, and we were having like the principal made udon for everybody, and after we ate, I said, "Oh, Tiffany, tell Kocho Sensei thank you for the udon," and she didn't say anything. She just went like this. And he was like, whoa. And at that time, she wasn't even, I think she was either still two years old at the time. Yeah. And she just bowed. She didn't say anything. She didn't say thank. She could say thank you. She could say arigato, but she didn't. She just looked at him and just bowed. And it was like, I was shocked. He was shocked. He was like, whoa. Like, I mean, she was only 2.
Yeah, you know what?
So she's adapted certain things. She knows when to take her shoes off. She knows she can't put her feet up in the chair with her shoes on. Like, she knows little things like that.
I think it's a kid's thing, right? And that's the thing, like, when they grow up in a society, it doesn't matter where you are, they take on, that's kids. Like, if you teach a child any language, they will learn it. If you put them in any country, transplant them at any, especially now in these formative years, they will take on the culture, the mannerisms, all these things. So it's not about the individual per se, it's the stage that they are. It's just something about kids, right? So I definitely understand. So it will be fascinating to watch her grow up and see how this forms, her personality and the person that she becomes, influences the person that she will become, a few years from now. So definitely, those are things that that we've kind of like we've thought about. We haven't had like many negative experiences. There was one thing that I shared, I believe, a few months ago, maybe over a year ago. On my other channel, it was about this encounter. It was, I think, out of all the encounters I've actually had here, it was one of the most distasteful ones that I've actually had. When I was going to Harajuku with my daughter in stroller, she's in the stroller at the time, I'm pushing it, and we're going through these turnstiles right at the train station. You guys know, you tap here, we use these cards, ticket gate, yeah. So we tap and we got to go through it. There I don't know, I think there's like 5 or 6 or thereabout in Harajuku, right? So you go through and a person come in, so there's a lot of free ones. So I'm going through with the stroller, right? Remember I shared it, and this lady was coming in, Asian lady, I'm not sure if she's Japanese or not, but she saw me coming with the stroller. I was already halfway through the turnstile, right, the ticket gate, and she still insisted on walking in. She walked in after I started my yeah, like she saw it, and the whole time during that encounter, she never made eye contact. Right, it was a day when I was really chill. Those days of morning you're going out and you feel, you're chill. You're in that goose frabble moment that, you're calm, right, and you're good. And so I think it was good that I was in a good mood, because it took me a while to start to get, irritated by just what was happening, because I'm with a baby, and usually, as we said earlier, when you're with a baby, people are more receptive, they're more open, they're kinder to you. It's just a thing, like a human thing, right? I guess this desire to protect the young, and we're going through, and she was just there, and she just stood there. She literally just stood there. And like, she wasn't moving, she wasn't making eye contact with me. Of course, she was shorter than I was, and she was looking down, and literally she kind of like did this, and I did this, and everyone said that. Of course, it's super, like, when I saw that, I was like, that was when, like, I'm starting to get super irritated. Like, I was just like, okay, trust me, like, at that point, I'm like, I'm with my daughter, and this woman, and I just stood there, because I'm like, you know what, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna I just stood there, I never even moved. Because thoughts came into my mind, right? Have you ever mowed a lawn before? You mowed a lawn? Okay, cool. Okay, so wink, wink. So anyways, I just stood there, and
with Tiffany
and she squeezed past me. Guys, look, this thing is like about like this.
It's a skinny one. It's not the big one.
Yeah, it's the look.
It's the tiny
I don't even know, like, so I'm there, the stroller's in there. I don't, like, she has to squeeze. She probably, like, I don't know how she did it. She's like, what do you call those things that can expand it? I don't know how she did it, like a mongoose. Like, she just squeezed past me, and I never moved. And we were right by the ticket gate, and the ticket conductor dude, or whatever you call them, was at the window there. And, like, he was seeing the entire exchange, and was there, and she squeezed past me, and then I went my way, because I'm like, there's no way I'm moving. I'm like, I am not moving.
Yeah.
But how did she pass?
So did she eventually tap?
I don't know.
Did you just know you just stood there?
Remember, it was a stroller. Because that just came in my mind. I'm like, but the stroller was already in. Remember, so as I said, the stroller was already in. So I never tapped yet. Right. So I never tapped yet. The way it works is that you push the stroller in, and then you reach for your card and then tap, right? Because the stroller is like in front of you, right? So you push it in, and then you tap, and then you continue going. So I never
physically tapped yet. So she tapped. Did she tap?
Yeah, right? She saw me. I was already in, and that's what I said. I was in, and then she saw me already in, and then she tapped and came. It was a good day, though. It was a good day.
Locally in our community, there's this one lady, and I don't know if she changed over the time since we've been here, but I think I told you about it, my first encounter with her. In the morning, I would be walking, and usually if I see somebody, especially the older people, I found that when I first got here, the young people, or people who are maybe closer to my age, they're not really so friendly with strangers, but the older people will be looking up, and if you say Ohio, they'll say Ohio, konnichiwa, konnichiwa, like, just passerby greetings. So anyways, I see this old lady walking, and I know for the most part, if I say good morning to an older lady, that she will say good morning back. This morning? So the lady's walking. Usually you see the older people walking in the morning getting their exercise. So I say, Ohio. She just looks at me like, she kind of turns her head like, and makes up her face. Wow. And then just kept walking. And every time I would see her after that, she would always like give me this look.
Oh, this
and then walk, and then walk, just completely like avoid me kind of thing. So I learned from her. I was, I had different feelings. I'm like,
you never told me this.
No, I think I did. You probably just don't remember. So anyways, anytime I would see her, I would just ignore her or whatever, not say anything. She would always like look back at me. So then I started to wonder. I wonder if she's like, sometimes you have to wonder, because sometimes when people are socially awkward, maybe they have a condition. I don't know. I'm just saying.
No. What I was gonna say. Are you finished that thought?
Yeah, okay. But I'm gonna share something over time. But go ahead.
Okay, so what I wanted to maybe progress. Say,
okay, but anyways, one day, because you run, my husband runs often, right? He exercise. So one day we were on the run path, me and Tiffany, we were waiting for him to finish his run. I saw the lady again, but this time she was with a friend. Friends. Okay. So anyway, she's with her friend, and I'm with Tiffany, and then it's like, they're seeing us, and then the lady's like, oh, kawaii.
The same lady?
The same lady. The same. Oh, kawaii.
Well, nothing is wrong with her mind. She's clearly of sound mind now. You know now she's of sound mind.
But she was kind of, and she even started to talk to me, and I was like, like in my mind, I was just like, okay, hi, konnichiwa. You know, I just nod and you know, like bow a little bit and like, okay. But I'm just like, I know you know. I'm the same person, so it was just really weird. But that was like maybe months after, so I don't know if she got used to seeing me. I don't know what it was. Maybe her friend. I don't know.
You know what? There's something I can't remember where. I don't remember where I heard this before. But it was about, I know as black people, we go through a lot of stuff, right? And people that don't look like us and don't share our skin, they don't understand a lot of things. And because they don't have the experiences, so they can't identify. However, you know, that exists, of course. We go through a lot of stuff. We know this. But I read something somewhere, or I heard it somewhere, where it's like we should be able to separate, right? Like bad attitude or you know, bad behavior from, you know, like whether it's racism or prejudice or whatever the case is, because you do have some people that are just like nasty people, right? There are people like that. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do. You could be the nicest person in the world. You're decent. You feel like you're decent, right? You're not doing anything at least to make someone, you know, like dislike you or whatever the case is. And then there are people that still, they're just like whatever, you know, they're just nasty people, right? Yeah. So we need to make that distinction as well. Is this a person that is, you know, a nasty person? Are they having a bad day? Are they a racist or prejudiced person? And sometimes that's too much mental work. It's like a mental gymnastics sometimes. And sometimes I'm just like, I ain't even about to even try to break it down and say what this person is thinking. It's like when I'm on the train. So I shared like one experience with that lady, the train. I think I had like maybe 2 experiences on the train where this guy got up. This was early when I first came to Japan. Like, you know, one guy to my right when I was on the train, I sat between them because sometimes you're tired. Like you're tired. You sit down, right? Usually I only sit down when I'm tired because I'm like, okay, I have to like really need to sit down sometimes unless the train is like really empty, right? So I sat between these 2 guys. This other guy he's actually fatter than I am, right? So dude is like maybe 1.5 my size, maybe, or 1.25 my size. Dude got up after a while and he was mumbling something. He muttered something, like he mumbled and walked off into the distance. And I think he sat down. Then the other guy to my left, which was a skinnier guy, I was funny, like, you know, this guy and then a skinny guy got up and he left and sat between 2 people, right? So the guy to my right was at the corner seat, the edge seat, which is like, you know, the seat that everyone wants. Seat. Once that seat is free, like in 0.02 seconds, someone is there, right? Because it's a seat that you want. Right by the door, you know, you're not sandwiched between 2 people. Right. You know, you can just get up and leave. Right? The guy got up from that seat and went over. The next guy squeeze up. No, yeah, the next guy got up and left. And I'm like, okay, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I know I smell sweet. You know, Invictus. I'm like, yeah, you know, I know that. So I'm like, there's no way. I'm not even, they're like, there's no way that they're like, okay, this guy. Anyways, so I'm like, okay. So in that moment in time, I'm like, I'm not going to try to like, okay, what's going on here? I just took the corner seat, the edge seat, and just like, yeah, you know, like, yeah.
Stretch out.
You understand what I'm trying to say? I'm like, okay. I'm like, thank y'all. All right. So I'm like, times like that, I'm not going to try to like worry myself. There's this thing about being stopped by the police, right? For me, I could not identify exactly because overall in my lifetime, I haven't really been stopped by police, you know, anywhere that I've lived much, right? So when I came to Japan, I'm like, okay, well, I haven't been stopped. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, okay, going good, you know, like no stops. Then one day, if you think about it, it was late at night, right? Because I did like night adventures for, you know, the Ranzo in Japan channel. We, you know, a lot of live streams and stuff. Skateboarding everywhere. And I was just, you know, out late and it was pretty late. And I was skateboarding on the sidewalk and the police, they stopped me. You know, but it was fine. They were really, really friendly because I had something to compare that to. They were really friendly. I'm not gonna lie. So the encounter for me wasn't negative. It was an experience. Right? I'm like, okay, like I'm in Japan, a totally different society and culture, and I had an experience like that was pleasant. I never saw it as like a cause for pause. Plus, I was already live streaming. So for me, it's like, oh, this is an experience. I'm like, oh, caught live. You know, it's like an experience.
I remember I was watching it live at home, and I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, the people that were watching were like, what is going on here? They were like, cheesed off.
I'm like,
but like my audience that were watching were more upset than I was. I wasn't even upset. I was like, fine. right? So that was what was happening there. And so that was that, right? So the next time I was stopped was when I was riding my bike from Tokyo to Yamanashi, which is like the prefecture where Mount Fuji is. That was like a 15-hour bike ride, and I was riding like maybe like 3 a.m. from Tokyo. So like they stopped me at my bike, had on my
gears,
out of my gears, my biker gear and all that stuff, right? And I had my food supply behind me, because for me, I packed for like a week, right? Because I'm like, I don't even know. I'm like, I've never done this before. Like, I'm like, never done this before. I'm like, okay, dude, like I need change of clothes. I need like bananas. I need like power bars. I had everything, water, everything. And I was riding. So like they stopped me, and they asked me for my ID. I gave them my ID. And they still seem like they're asking for ID again. I'm like, but I gave you the ID that I'm required to give you if you ask, or whatever the case is. Your Gaijin card, pretty much, that they tell you that you need to have on your person at all times. So I gave it to them, right? And the guy still, it seemed like he wanted something else. So this was a different encounter from the first one. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay, I'm not sure what you want. So I gave him another card with my name on it. And then I'm like, okay, seems like these guys are like trying to like fish for something, right? So what I did was I'm like, okay, let me just play a little game. So I'm like, okay, well, let me just give him all my cards then, because he seems like he probably wanted to see if I got like 2 cards to see if maybe one was fraudulent. I'm not sure. I don't know. Like I'm just guessing here, because I don't know, because he was just asking for a card. I'm like, I gave you the card. So I gave him all my cards. Bank cards, Visa cards, bank book, driver's license. I even gave him my Canadian stuff. I just gave him everything. I'm just, hey, this.
What do you want?
And then he's there like, no, he's like maybe I like 10 cards and stuff. He's like, oh, okay. I was like, I gave it back to him. I'm like, okay. And this was also live as well. This was also live, so both times, because I'm always live streaming, right? Like I do a lot of like live streams on content and stuff like that. So this was the second time that was actually caught live as well. And eventually I started, so for me, because I'm a pretty friendly guy, so I just struck up a conversation. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm actually riding to Mount Fuji. They're like, kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, they were like taken aback because it was far, but I'm pretty active, so I like stuff like that. So we eventually, they left. But one thing I could see, because from the encounter, if I comparing that encounter to the first one I had, I could see that something was different. Right? The first guys that I met in Shibuya were younger, and they seemed a lot more pleasant. They were.
They even said hi.
They were really yeah, right. And I'm not a fool, right? So the second time so something that they did, I never knew they did until the first encounter, was they salute you. So after they finish, they're like, arigato gozaimashita. And they just do this, and you go, right? And the second time I saw the guys, like they were, when they're hesitant, when someone is like, oh, shake the person's hand, and maybe you have a grudge against the person, they did you something wrong, and they're like, oh, shake the person's hand. You're like, I don't want to shake their hand. You're kind of like reluctant to shake their hand, right? It was like that. So when they were going, so these guys, salute, you could see like they were just there, because I'm like, I know what to expect. I'm kind of like waiting for it. I'm like, okay, we'll just salute that, y'all, kind of thing, right? So the guy was like coming out slowly, like you see, they're like, oh.
Yeah, they thought they were getting money tonight. They thought they had hit the jackpot tonight. I don't know, but I'm like,
for me, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't even know what the stuff was for. Because they were driving.
They're looking for trouble, man.
I was riding this way, and they're coming this way. So they're coming from the opposite direction, right? And they swung around the car and kind of like came out. They swung around the car and came out. But I don't know. Like I never understood all that they were saying to me, though. I gotta admit that, right? But I know that on my bike at the front, there's 2 lights. So I have one light that was really bright and one that was off. The one that was off was the one that comes with the bike, right?
The bicycle light.
But I'm like, I had a light on the opposite side, and the bike only has 1 light. Usually, so I had 2 just because I wanted 2 lights versus 1, and 1 was off, so 1 was still on. So they were pointing at it, so I'm like, I'm not sure I don't even know what that was, but anyways, long story short, that was an encounter. And those were my 2 encounters with the police. And what has happened, though, since those two encounters is, whenever I see the cars, I'm always wondering in my mind, like, are they going to stop me? So that's something. So whenever I see a car, but there has actually been time where I'm like skateboarding or whatever, and no one says nothing. Like they even drive past me, and it's fine. I'm just looking at them and like, smiling with my eyes. I'm like, hey, what's up?
Do you mean locally, like I was
skateboarding in Shinjuku.
Okay.
And they just drove past me, like, right. So most,
because I know the police in the area are used to seeing you. So
yeah, I guess because where I run all the time, they drive sometimes, and sometimes they slow down. I guess if it's too, because sometimes I run late, so they they will be driving by and they'll slow down. But they got my reflector gear on, and they're probably like, oh yeah, it's an athlete. They just drive and they leave. But that's kind of like that. I think this we've been sharing the story, but guys, like we're having so much fun like sharing this. Forgive me if this video is like 10 hours long. Like, okay, so let's segue into this. I just want to give a big shout out to our friends at Tally and Twine Watches. You know, like, you know, they provided me with this bad boy right here. Like, you guys can see it. It's an amazing timepiece. I actually like black on black watches. Let's see if you guys can even get a closer look. Like, so this is actually what I'm rocking. And the good thing about them is that, well, you know, it's pretty nice. You like it?
Yeah, I do like it. It's nice.
Yeah, I learned about their story I think about over a year ago. And it's actually a black-owned watch company in the USA, right? I believe they're from Virginia. So it's a family, a husband and wife, and they have a little girl as well. And it's an amazing company. The watches are high quality. You guys should definitely check them out. I'll put a link in the description down below. And if you use this promo code BEJ, you will get $10 off your purchase. Look, go onto the website, check out the watches. I'm not just trying to say this. First of all, I love my black people. I love black businesses. I support black businesses. And when I saw this, I was like, this is a company definitely that we should all support. If you're into watches like I am, they got watches for men, women. The prices are great and the quality is like amazing. You'll see it for yourself. Go check it out and, you know, support a black business near you. Tally and Twine, link is in the description. Remember to use BEJ, $10 off. Look at this bad boy. All right, so let's move on. I wanted to give them a big shout out for that. What do you like the most about Japan?
Okay, well, I said this before. I like the attention to detail. The attention to detail of things that I guess I'm not used to in Canada. Like, for example, like, it's so hard for me to even explain. Okay, just little things that, okay, there are things here in Japanese apartments that you wouldn't have, or at least that we don't have back home in Canada. But when I go to like Daiso and I start to find these little weird products and then I realize what the products are for, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so smart. Like, this is so handy. So just like, they really pay attention to detail. I don't know, like... Yeah. And there's one thing I like too. I don't have an example anywhere here, but these little like packets, when you get like snacks or maybe some like type of like sweet, they have a little indentation to the side where you can just easily like tear this thing open to access your goodies. You know, like they have it. There's a lot more here. I know they have stuff like that in the West a little bit, but here it's a lot more widespread. So so the probability of you seeing that on a package is like a lot higher than in say like Canada or somewhere like that. So I like that a lot. So you know, when I get my thing and like I don't have to use my teeth or scissors or a knife or whatever, I'm like, oh look, easy access.
Right.
Yeah, another thing that I really like is just the organization of the transportation. Like, for example, on the screen, and it took me so long. I mean, we've been here for about 3 years now, but it took me so long to actually notice some of the fine details. For example, on the screen, you see what car you're in. As soon as you arrive at the station, you see a map come up on the screen that shows you where the stairs are, the elevator is, all the stairs, all the elevators, and
I noticed that honestly, like a few months ago.
Anyway,
like, it's so helpful.
So, like,
though.
for example, if you are able to notice and pay attention, the details are all around you. Like, just little things like that, the signage, just the overall.
You know, they do that well, and I think they're
really
known for that.
Order, like the order. I like the order here. I think
they're known for that.
So one thing that I really like is the order, just the way that they organize things. It's just really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I concur with that as well. And of course, the safety, you guys hear it, and it's worth mentioning. You know, people are like, okay, people are always saying that, but it is like you can leave stuff, you know, all over. You leave your bag with like expensive gears in it, or, you know, your phones or stuff like that. I left my iPhone at a charging station at the train station before, and I got it back. Like, by the time I made my way back to the station, it was already in lost and found, which was actually pretty cool. So stuff like that, the safety, of course, is clean. How clean it is does not actually stand out to me that much because I'm sort of used to that from Canada. But I know for people that may have resided somewhere where it's not as clean, when they come here, they're probably like taking it back, like, oh my gosh, like, oh, kind of thing, right?
What is fascinating is how clean it is with the like lack of garbage bags.
The irony.
Garbage bins, I should say. But what it is that everyone is responsible for their own garbage. So
people police themselves very well here.
Right. So when we go out, we have to like keep our own garbage, especially unless you go somewhere like a convenience
store. It is
store.
Annoying though, like,
yeah,
you gotta put it in your bag. Like live stream I did when you guys saw me with a Monster can. I was drinking the Monster.
Yeah, he brought that home.
I had to take it home and like put it in the recycle bin. Right.
One of the coolest things that I've seen also is people's a feeling of responsibility for public mess. For example, like I know in Canada, if like there's a mess on a train or on a bus, ain't nobody picking that up. Yeah, one time I was on a train and there was a whole bunch of tissues. Like somebody, I don't know if they were eating and wiping off their hands, but there was a whole bunch of tissues and wrappers on a seat. And a man came in, like I saw it from over there, but I was just like, oh, that's a shame, you know, in my mind. A man came into the train and then he sat down beside the mess and took off his backpack, dug through his backpack and took out a plastic bag and picked up everything and tied the bag, stuffed it in his bag.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. So it was just interesting to watch that, like, you know, he took care of that whoever.
You know, that's one thing about that's one thing about Japan as well. Is like, you know, everyone has I can't say the same values because that would be a fallacy because I don't know.
It's not everybody, but
there's a large enough percentage of the population or the populace has the same you know, like value system in terms of just the countries run, the societies is run. So we spoke about the safety and that we like that about Japan, like, you know. So it's I guess the question now, it's time for the question. What do you like the least about Japan? And there's one thing that I spoke about the last time. As I said, we recorded this before, but that the footage was unusable. But one thing that I mentioned was this sense of being the perpetual foreigner. That's one thing when the question comes up, like, can Japan really be home? Mm-hmm. Can Japan really be home? Right? That comes into my mind. Like, of course, we understand we're in Japan. And about 98.5% or 98% of the population is Japanese. We get that we are in Japan. We're in Japan. I get it. Mm-hmm. But I'm just sharing my perspective. Like, you know, as a foreigner here, there's this thing of being the perpetual foreigner. And then you have this question in your mind, especially as a family. It's like, can Japan really be home? Right? When you go out, you're reminded that you're different, right? You're reminded that you're an outsider. And you're saying, so you ask yourself, it begs the question as an individual, like, can Japan really be home, right? You know, like, you go out, you're hard to see people that look like you, if any at all, and you wonder about it. But I know she has a different take on that.
Yeah.
But that's definitely a question that comes up. You know, like, can I really assimilate and become a part of the society, right? That's a question that I'm slowly answering. I think.
One thing that I would say is that when we first got here, I guess I would sense the fact that I was different, and of course I know I am, but I never really let that bother me so much. I mean, I guess it's kind of normal. And then, but in regards to can Japan be home, like, I feel like the reason why we're still here is because I'm comfortable. We're comfortable. Yeah. So I can say yes. For how long, I can't say. But I can say that I'm comfortable enough. Of course, we don't have immediate family close by, you know, that distance, you know. But, and I feel like that's just my opinion because you're here and Tiffany's here. I can't speak for people who come here as a single individual. But when you have your family unit here, like, I don't really think as long as your overall experience outside of the four walls of your home is manageable and you're able to
larger positive.
Yeah. So everybody has different experiences, especially depending on where you reside. I'm okay.
Yeah, and one thing that you said as well, the last time that we attempted to do this was that you felt comfortable when you first came here. You felt this sense of comfort, right? And of course, if she's comfortable, then hey, right? I'm like, hey, what are you gonna do? You know. Plus, I actually like the sense of adventure. I forgot to mention that the sense of adventure in Japan is like also, even though you feel like, you know, the perpetual foreigner, you know, it's like there's this thing where, did I say, what was the word I used? Was it eternal? The perpetual. But anyways, it's like, you know, it's still like because of that. because you are sort of like a perpetual foreigner, it's like there's a sense of adventure here. I believe a perpetual adventure. Like there's always something to do, whether it's going to a new place, right? Meeting different people or trying different food, right? Because there's like so many foods here and stuff like that, right? So there's that sense of adventure, and I think that's why when foreigners come here for like a year, they end up being here for a lot longer, is because there's just the sense of adventure and the sense of comfort, despite everything else that people may bring to the fore. It is people are comfortable. Yeah. The sense of adventure. There's so many things to do. You're learning. It's almost like we're babies, right? It's like when a baby,
everything's new.
Yeah, when a baby's just born into the world, everything is new to them, and they're like, and they're so fascinated and all that. Yeah. I feel like we're like adult babies because the society is so different. Because the society is so different and so new, we're always discovering something. So we're being stimulated all the time. It's like you're watching a movie or something. You're like, there's something new you're seeing, so you're engaged, right? I think so. That's that. And I think all these things together compounded makes Japan what it is, and it has this allure, for foreigners looking to come here as well. And even so that's something. I need to mention this as well, that we have to share our experiences in terms of what is true for us, right? Yeah. Remember, people are some of their experiences. The way we see things, our paradigms, etc., is based on what we've experienced before and the way we were brought up, etc. So each experience is different, and I'm not holding anything back. I know some people, they might not want to divulge too much, right? Because of course, maybe it might be too sensitive. They're thinking about maybe potential backlash, their jobs, etc. But I'm just being authentic. We're being authentic. We're sharing our stories with you guys as it is. So I've mentioned the sort of unpleasant experiences, and I've mentioned the good ones as well. And so that's,
Another cool thing is that I guess in our community we have some local farmers, because there's plots of land where they farm their own vegetables. And one of the cool things is you can buy the vegetables, but they're not there watching them. They put a booth outside their house, they put a little money box, and they put the price for each thing. So whether it's cabbage, the radish, Japanese radish, spinach, whatever it is. And then you pick what you want. Sometimes they have a little plastic bag, you bag it yourself, and you put the money in. And at the end of the day, when they want to close up their shop, they pack everything up and count the money. So there's a sense of trust within the community.
I feel so awesome buying from these places. When I go out there, I'm like, there's no one there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't. You go there and I'm like, I put the money down. It's like, man, what a place.
There's several spots like that around where we live.
Maybe they have a sniper in the bushes. I don't know. But
the most that they do is they put that sign with the eyes. And the painted eyes, and it's got these eyes, and basically it's saying like, we're watching you, like somebody will see you if you do something bad. Basically it's kind of like God is watching you, kind of thing.
But it's amazing though. It's something that we appreciate, stuff like that. Anyways, let's just segue into food, because I'm like, oh my, this is probably like 12 hours. Food, my favorite food of course is ramen, in different types. Not all type of ramen, but I like ramen. Yes, that's the truth. I also like unagi, which is like barbecue eel, and this thing at Maruichi, what's it called?
Isomaru Suisan.
Yes, Isomaru Suisan. This spot is like a seafood chain. They have this crab fried rice, which is actually really good, and they also have this crab thing, this kani. You got the crab shell, and I believe it's like crab meat in it. Maybe the brains are mingled, I'm not sure, but I know it's crab meat, and they bring it out to you in the crab shell as like the bowl, and you put it down, you make it. So those are my favorite actually. So ramen, right, depends. I know some really good spots. So if you guys really want to know like some top ramen spots in Tokyo, send me a message and I'll hook you up, okay? I may even take you there. No promises. But unagi, definitely good. Pricey, but it's worth the money, right? When it's cooked, it's beautiful. When it's alive, it's hideous. But yeah, those eel. Oh my god. Yeah, and of course, kani, the crab thing that they have.
My favorite food is daigaku imo, which is fried sweet potato that is drizzled or mixed up in this like sweet sauce with sesame seeds on top, usually the black sesame seeds. I would say that's my favorite food right now. I also like natto, but it's not necessarily my favorite food, but I like to say it because many people don't like natto.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's fine, you do you.
Yeah, I can maybe stomach like 2 spoons or half a spoon, and then that's it.
Yeah, I've become a fan of the way that Japanese people incorporate sweet potato in different dishes. More recently, actually, I really like cooking renkon, which is the lotus root. You don't like it because it's got holes in it.
Oh, it looks weird. That's
Yeah.
because
I've got a whole bunch in my
wow,
kitchen right now. I just like the
what is
crunchiness.
Renkan? Tiffany, what's your favorite Japanese food?
Ooh, I also ramen.
Right, so she said ramen, so she's also a ramen fan.
Yeah, she's only saying that because you like it. Tiffany, what do you
Anyways,
really like? Don't you like
Onigiri.
onigiri? Yeah.
So
What's your favorite onigiri?
Ooh, umabashi.
And
I think it likes favorite. I think I like it with tuna mayo.
tuna mayo, right?
okay, so she likes ramen and she likes
Onigiri,
with,
rice ball.
with umabashi, which I actually never liked that. It's like the sour plum. I hated it at first.
But
I
you like
hated
it
it
now.
at first. Yeah, it's not that bad right now. So yeah, but okay, So the next one is the funniest, thing that has happened to you as a black person, and well, this video is like almost 5 hours, so I'm just gonna try to go through it fast. But the funniest thing was, if I'm gonna look for one experience, is gonna be when I was in the elevator. Right?
Oh yeah, right.
And I was there with my daughter, my wife.
Yeah, I was there.
And there was this other, I think a lady and her son in the stroller, and he's in one of those strollers that has the curve sunshade, right? So you can curve, like, the boss
Goes
ones.
all the way down.
Yeah, right. So you can literally, yes, those ones, right? So I'm there in the elevator, I'm signing up, and then the kid is in his stroller, and the sunshade was actually all the way back, so he was exposed. He was looking up at me, and he was just looking at me like eye contact was like, it was like. Yeah, like a not mean mugging, but it was literally just looking at me.
Staring.
Passive expression, staring at me. And I'm just looking, I'm just like, okay. I never made a face. I was just looking at him too.
Did you have your glasses on?
I didn't. It wasn't.
Okay.
I didn't.
A different time.
So I'm looking at him, and he just maintained eye contact, slowly reached over, grabbed the sunshade, and pulled it all the way over his face. Like, I burst out laughing because it's like a scene from a movie. You see these things in movie, it's like scripted. I'm like, I laughed so hard I could not contain myself. I'm like, I'm sorry, little kid somewhere, wherever you are, but I laughed because dude was just there.
It was funny.
He was just there looking at me. So like the camera right now, like the lens, like that's like me, and this is him. So he's just looking at me, and he just reached over, like not even blinked, never broke eye contact. He's just looking at me. He's probably thinking this guy's scared or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was funny. The fact that he never broke eye contact, like he didn't look down.
I died.
He just stared right in your face. Like,
I wish I'd recorded that, but then people would have thought it was staged or something. But there's a kid, so I can't record it. But yeah, it's a fun memory in my mind. And there was another time where this kid saw me. I was wearing my shades, those round ones that you guys saw in the live stream, and the kid saw me just like bust out. Bawling. He just started bawling. Like,
it was a baby though. It was
it was a baby.
It was like maybe 6-8 months.
It was a baby, but they usually say babies don't like spectacles or whatever. So like I was just wearing the glasses, the shades, and he just looked at me. And I guess because I'm a black man with shades, he's probably like, "What in the world is this creature?" Like he just like, like literally went out. And even when we were leaving, the mom was trying to console him, and he's just there like, it's like he saw like a ghost or something. I was like, oh, I took it off too, because I'm like, okay, maybe I'm like, I took it off right away. I'm like, okay, see, I'm normal. And he was still going bawling, not even crying, he was bawling. I felt, I was like, oh my gosh. So
yeah, but then there's been other babies that see you and like start smiling and laughing. So
I can't remember those.
Depends on the child. Anyways. Funny experience, I guess, with my students at school. I've had the experience of them wanting to touch my hair. One time I made the mistake of letting them touch my hair, one or two girls, and then it was like every week I would have that class, some other girls would pester me. Oh, sensei, can I? But she wasn't speaking English. I can't remember what she says in Japanese, but she was using the word for touch. And she would bring her fingers like close, and I'd be like, no. And she'd be like, why? And I'd be like, because like, if you touch my hair, they're gonna want to touch my hair, and that's what I noticed would happen. Like if I started to put my guard down a little bit, it's like everybody want to come now, and my turn, and I'm like no, and I'm like if you then her then him, well probably none of the boys would, but And she's just like, oh, yeah, you know, like, okay, I understand. And I'm just like, okay, good, thanks. Like, because, you know, how would you feel if I just wanted to run my fingers through your hair? She's just like, oh, like, you know, it's like she put herself in my shoes, and and then she realized, okay, yeah, I guess this is inappropriate. And then another time, I mean, I've been teaching some of these students for a long time, and I guess they're used to me at a certain distance. But one time I went close to a particular student, and it must have been in the warmer season, so I had like a short sleeve, so my arm was exposed, and my arm was next to her arm, and she was like, huh? Like, you know, comparing the two, and she was like scared. She wasn't really scared. She was just like in awe. She
said she was hara or something.
Yeah, she was like, huh? You know, like, and you know, and like looking at my hand compared to her hand, and it was just like amazing. Like, you know, I guess that was the closest that she'd ever been to actually compare skin. Like, I mean, they know that I'm obviously darker skinned than them, but I guess me having been so close, it was like, oh wow, I've never been close to anybody who I could compare on this level before. Well, I mean, it was funny and weird.
I think it's funny.
Yeah, it was funny and weird.
And you know, there's something
like,
that
it was just like, yeah, okay, yeah, and.
Okay, well, I think it's...
And then the whole thing that they were like, they would look at the palm of my hand and be like, oh, like although, like, you know, I speak with my hands, I'm always like, you know, pointing to things, so you could usually see the middle of my hand, and but it's like when they got close, they're like, oh, but they're like, oh, you know,
you know what?
So, but I mean,
there are some things that it's because of unfamiliarity and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I get it.
But when you learn about the stuff that they think, it's funny. I find it so hilarious. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I never thought about that. You know, just like you said, the hand middle one. I've never actually thought about, oh, why is like this part this and this part like this. So the best life advice I've received, I want to share this. There's something that I coined, and it says, fear is an enemy of all progress. Have no part with it. And I also heard this quote from, I think it was Jim Carrey when he was sharing this thing during a speech, when he said, a lot of people make decisions out of fear disguised as practicality, right? They make a decision about something and they're saying, well, I'm being practical, I'm being this. But the truth of the matter is they're not being practical, right? They're being afraid, they're being fearful. They never made that decision because it was the most practical decision to make. They made that decision because they were afraid to make another decision. Fear is the enemy of all progress. Have no part with it. Fear cripples, fear paralyzes us. There's many things that we want to do, and we don't do it simply because we're afraid. I believe that in order for us to experience this life in all that it has to offer, we have to make our decisions not from a place of fear, but rather from a place of faith. Right? The unseen. Allow, you know, the things that you're thinking about, the things that you want to do to pull you into the future. So that's, you know, I guess the best life advice, you know, I've received. Do not allow fear to make a decision for you. Right? So that's definitely the life advice I want to share with you guys.
Okay, as for me, life advice would be to take time and reflect on where you've been and where you're currently going. I find that even for me, sometimes you just get so busy doing, you know, your thing every single day. And for me, if I don't take time to just like quiet myself and just, I'm a person that I like to journal, I like to write things down. If I don't take the time to just reflect on what's going on and like what I'm actually doing, like I'll get really frustrated. I'll reach that point where I just get really frustrated with just my daily, and just kind of like, you know, I don't want it to get that bad. So I think one of the best things that we can do for ourselves is to just make a practice out of reflecting, you know, asking questions to ourselves, like, what am I really doing with my time? Is this helping me? What should I be doing? What do I want to be doing? I like to ask myself questions, like, and try to answer them. So I think that's useful, especially if you have goals that you want to achieve, but like years, months, days have passed by and you still haven't done anything. I think reflecting. The
time is now.
Yeah, reflecting, and for me personally, journaling is really key.
Okay. And the next one is, you know, if the world was listening, what's one message you would share? And this is another one. This has to do with the frailty of life. This one that I want to share with you guys. The fact that life is transient, life is passing. We only have a finite amount of time to live, right? We don't have forever, right? I have my wife here, my daughter there as well, and it's like we won't be here forever. There will be a time, unfortunately, when who knows when we got to exit this life. And because time is finite, we have to make use of what we have right now. We have to make use of every single opportunity. I understand that sometimes we feel immortal, we are healthy, we're fine, and we're like, okay, we're living life, and it doesn't seem like we're thinking about death. It seems like death is like a far way off over the next side of the mountain. But the truth of life is that I'm not being pessimistic. Life is, though, short. At its longest, it's short, right? So we have to make use of every single moment that we have. And that's, one message that I would like to share is for us to assess our lives, right? Just like you said, like, what are we doing with our time, right? Yeah. Are we investing our time, or are we allowing our time to pass us by? What are you doing with the relationships that you have? What are you doing with, the opportunities that you have, the resources, or whatever it is that you're doing, your talents, your gifts, your dreams, your goals, the things that you have within you, what are you doing with them? Because you won't have forever to actually go after those things, right? That's the truth of life. That's what life is, right? So it's like, what are we doing? So the one message I want to, to share with the world is use your time wisely. Start today. Don't wait for tomorrow. Time is finite. Each day that you spend, you have one less day to spend. That's the message I want to share. So all of us can recalibrate, right? To decide to look at our lives and say, okay, my life is finite. Today could be my last day. This year could be my last year. This day, this week, this month could be my last month. What am I going to do? What if it was my last month, my last week? What would I be doing with my time? And that's what I personally believe that is very, very important, imperative even, that each and every one of us pursue our dreams and follow our goals, because tomorrow is not promised to any of us. So that's my message. Use your time wisely. Think about the frailty of life and work your way back. Think about, where do you want death to meet you, right? It might sound away, but where do you want death to meet you? In what state? When your time comes for you to depart, where do you want to, what do you want to have accomplished at that time? What do you want to be true about your life at that time, right? What legacy do you want to leave behind? Think about all these things. How do I want to depart this world? What do I want to have accomplished? What do I want to leave behind, etc.? All these things, and then work your way back to say, okay, how can I bring myself to this place? Because I know that tomorrow is not promised, so I got to begin at one, starting today. So that's what I want to share.
Sounds good. For me, I would say seek truth in all things, and ask. Again, I'm always about asking questions. Ask questions. Don't just take things at face value. I would say just dig deep, research. Don't just be satisfied with what you're confronted with initially, but to just seek truth in all things. And I'll just be brief.
Indeed. And the next one too is like, this is like advice section, and we're going into now advice for Black people looking to come to Japan.
Right. And
one advice is the same thing about fear, because I understand this is something that is pervasive in all spheres of society, in all countries. Fear is present. So I want to just say to my fellow Black people out there that may be curious or may want to move to Japan or some other country, don't make your decision out of fear. Don't allow fear to cripple you. There are things that you want to do with your life. Don't allow fear to make that decision for you. Because as I said, if you made a decision because you were afraid to make it, you never made that decision. Fear made that decision for you. So if you do want to come to Japan or some other country and experience something, go for it. When you're making a decision, make it from a place of faith, not fear. So that's the message I want to share. That's the advice I want to give. So if you're thinking about doing something, right? Someone might say, "Oh, I got a family. I got a young family. Oh, can we make the move? Can we do this? Can we do that?" Don't allow that. Don't allow that excuse or that fear or the fear of the unknown to stop you from progressing further. Remember, as I said, life is a transient, it's brief at the longest. You want to make sure that you take advantage of everything that you have right now. That's so that's my advice. If y'all want to come, You know, and that's one of the reasons why this channel exists as well, because people are afraid. They were like, oh, what is it like being in Japan? Are they racist? Are they this? Oh my gosh, I don't want to go because this. And that was one of the reasons why this channel even started as well, you know, to address that, to show you guys real experiences, you know, both, you know, the good, the bad, etc. So you guys can form your own opinions. So remember, don't make your decisions out of fear. That's the advice for Black people out there that are coming here. And of course, come with an open mind, as everyone says, you know, enjoy your experience. So that's what I want to say.
It wasn't that easy for us to make the final decision to come here. We did like you know, bounce back and forth.
The reason for that though was because we had a business in Canada, right? So because of that, it was like, okay, do we leave, you know, this business that was growing and we were doing really good to come to Japan? So that was a reason for that, because I remember when we waited until like the last moment literally to make the decision, and that was definitely the primary reason, you know, to actually when we were like, okay, do we make the move? And this was a lifelong dream, a bucket list item for us. So so that was the whole bag. It was like, okay, this business is growing now, we're having like amazing clients, we had banks, we had this, we had all these things, and I'm like, do I make the move here or do I not?
Yeah.
Right. So that was.
But the fear of regret was
right, and
the fear of regret. I was like, I would rather go to Japan for like a year and just be like, nah, this is not for us, and come back, than just never have gone and just be like, oh my gosh, what if we went?
Yeah, because it's an experience, right? It's an experience that you have, that, you know, you live with for the rest of your life. So so I think, you know, in retrospect, I remember when I first came though, it was very, very difficult for me, right? Because when I first came here, I was really busy in Canada, like really busy. Like I like working. I was like busy, like meeting clients. I was doing all these things all the time. I would work the entire day. I don't care. Yeah. Sleep was whatever. As I woke up, I was working. And so to come here, and for all that pace to slow down, like I was going like 110 to come to Japan to be like, I don't even know, like 50. Like maybe even 50, 40, because now I had to move the business to like online based primarily with some of the stuff that I was doing to be like online. And I'm like, so that was like, you know, of course I knew that I was gonna lose like about 75% of my revenue, you know, making the move, because we weren't able to do everything that we were able to do on the ground in Canada.
Exactly.
So but it was a risk, I thought. You know, in all things considered, you know, as I said, fear doesn't stop us. You know, I make a habit of confronting my fears, usually, right? And, you know, and even if that's my default state, like, you know, confront this fear, or work toward confronting it to eventually overcome it. So we did that, and now we're here, and it's been a wonderful experience. And the good thing about it, I'm experiencing it with my wife, right? And my daughter as well. And yeah, it's an experience that we have now. So advice for, you know, people like, you know, even back when coming to Japan.
In regards to advice for anyone wanting to come, especially Black women, definitely I say come. If a door opens for you to come beyond just traveling, but to be able to work here, definitely do it. In regards to what to bring hair products. Bring as much as you can. Ship. Like, do the slow shipping or whatever, or just pack as much as you can into your suitcase, because that's been my biggest struggle here. Paying heavy shipping for products.
I think makeup too, no?
Oh yeah, foundation. Like, you can probably find like foundation and what's that? Concealer. Yeah, okay.
Is it where the Mac place or?
No. Well, okay, but I haven't gone yet, but near Harajuku on Omotesando, I've heard that NYX has opened up, and supposedly, rumor has it, they now carry darker foundations, but most of the makeup places here, like, yeah, they don't go to this shade, yeah.
And we understand why, right?
I mean, yeah.
You think about the clientele, right?
Yeah, it sucks though, but
indeed.
But so I would say stock up on your makeup and stock up on the hair products. Okay, and I would say stock up on your makeup, so your foundations and concealers, because as for the other stuff, eyeshadows, lipsticks, you can find here. You can probably find something that matches, but definitely stock up on those base makeup necessities, and what did I say? Hair products. Cause yeah, you can get it, but you're gonna be paying some nasty shipping. There are some people here, especially if you're in Tokyo, that may that may be selling, but it's really hard to get. So online is probably the easiest way, and usually it's not a pretty price. So
now we're toward the end of the video. Honestly, like as I said, this video is probably like so long. Anyways, I'm gonna try my best to edit it. Like I don't know what it's gonna be like. Hopefully it's probably like 40 minutes. We can edit it down to 40 minutes or so. I don't know, or even less, hopefully. I'm not sure. But whatever is, once the information is in it, we'll share regardless. I'm sorry, guys, for the long watch. But anyways, if you want to contact us, please visit our website, blackxjp.com. You'll see the link somewhere down here. Or another is to find us on Instagram at the blackxjp and Twitter as well, and also Facebook, the Black Experience Japan. Drop us a message. You know, sometimes we have a lot of messages, and I may take a little while to get back to you. Just a little patience. But yeah, definitely once you send us a message, we will definitely get back to you. You got questions, whatever it is, we're here to serve. You know, thank you guys so much for watching. You know, drop us a message, a like, a follow, subscribe. We got more content coming out for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the live streams, the MFiles. We appreciate you.
Yes. Okay, bye everybody. Thank you for watching. See you next time.
Bye. Tiffany, say bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. See you guys soon. Kiyoskate.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see weekly videos about the Black experience in Japan, feel free to subscribe to this channel. If you know someone that would like to be featured, or if you yourself would like to be featured, send us a message on our Facebook page at the Black Experience Japan, or send us a tweet on Twitter at the blackxjp. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.